Have you ever had a gut feeling so strong it felt like a physical ache? A whisper in your mind that something is just off. You dismiss it as paranoia. You tell yourself you're seeing things, but that tiny, illogical detail, a change in routine, a phrase that doesn't land right, a photo that's just a little too perfect, it starts to glow. It becomes a pinprick of light in the darkness of a lie, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. What do you do when the proof isn't in a jealous text or a hidden email, but is hidden in plain sight, in a place the person who betrayed you thought was absolutely safe? Let's set the stage. My life, by all external metrics, was stable. I was married to Elise for 8 years. She worked in high-end corporate sales, which meant frequent business trips. We had the rhythm down. I'd help her pack, she'd send goodnight texts, and we'd count down the days until she was back. Were things a little distant lately? Maybe. But life is stressful. You blame work, you blame fatigue. Trust was the foundation, or at least I thought it was. Then the photo came. It was a Wednesday night during her supposed conference in Chicago. My phone chimed. A selfie of Elise, smiling that tired but happy smile. Miss you. Today was endless. Room service and sleep for me. 6 stars, it read. A normal, loving gesture. I smiled, went to type a reply, and then I didn't. Something held my thumb back. A dissonance I couldn't name. My eyes, driven by that creeping gut feeling, zoomed in. Not on her face, but on the large window beside her. A black mirror reflecting the room in faint, ghostly detail. And that's where I saw them. On a low armchair, neatly folded, were 2 bathrobes. Thick, terry cloth, unmistakably luxurious. But it was the emblem on the breast pocket that stopped my heart. A specific, stylized crescent moon encircling a pine tree. I knew that logo, because it wasn't from some chain hotel in Chicago. It was from the Grove, an obscenely boutique, romantic hotel, right here in our own city. A place known for anniversary packages and illicit affairs, not for corporate sales conferences. The world didn't spin. It froze. That whisper became a roar. She wasn't 600 miles away. She was 20 minutes from our home. And she wasn't alone. The proof was right there, hiding in the background of her own lie. In that frozen, silent moment, I felt my life split cleanly into a before and an after. And I made a decision right then. I wouldn't scream. I wouldn't text back a question mark. I would be a ghost. I would investigate. And I would be precise. The first wave wasn't anger. It was a silence so complete it had a sound. A high-pitched hum in my ears. I just stared at the phone, at her smiling face, at the damning reflection. My wife, the woman I'd shared a bed with for 8 years, whose secrets I thought were just about childhood dreams or silly fears, was now keeping this. A secret with a hotel logo. The intimacy of that betrayal is what steals your breath. It's not just that she lied. It's that she looked into the camera, into my eyes, through the lens, and sent the lie with a kiss. But that silence had to break. And when it did, it shattered into a single, burning need. To know. Who was in that other robe? My mind became a prison of every man we knew. Friends, colleagues, vague acquaintances from parties. I had to get out of my own head. I had to get into hers. I didn't rage text. I didn't call screaming. That's what she might expect. That's what would let her spin a story about my jealousy. No, I became a ghost in my own marriage. I opened my laptop. The hotel website confirmed it. The crest was unique to the Grove. So she was here, in our city, in a Love Nest hotel. But with who? The shared credit card was my next clue. I scanned the transactions, my stomach twisting with each swipe. And there it was. A charge from just a few hours before her photo. Le Jardin? That name was a knife twist. We talked about going to that restaurant for our last anniversary. It was romantic, exclusive, expensive. She'd said it was too fussy, that she'd rather have a cozy night in. Yet there she was, charging a dinner for 2 there, while texting me about being lonely in Chicago. This was the blueprint of the affair. The luxury hotel. The intimate dinner. It was a whole parallel relationship, running alongside ours, funded in part by our shared life. The humiliation was chemical, burning through me. But it also gave me my target. She'd have to check out. She'd have to leave that hotel and step back into the real world. And I needed to see who walked out with her. I texted her back. I made my voice digital, warm, unsuspecting. Miss you too. Get some rest. Let me know your flight time Friday. I'll be at the airport. It was bait. She took it. Don't trouble yourself, honey. The company's handling it. I'll just get a cab from the office. The company. The perfect, untouchable alibi. Every word was now a lie I could see through. That's when the heartbreak hardened into something else. Something cold and sharp. This wasn't a mistake. This was a planned operation. And I was done being the casualty. I was going to witness the truth with my own eyes. I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, watching the clock, planning. The hotel lobby was a public space. I had every right to be there. I just wouldn't be seen. As the sun came up, I wasn't a betrayed husband anymore. I was a man with a mission. The pain was still there, a raw, open wound, but I used it as fuel. I was going to look my wife's secret in the face. And once I knew the truth, once I had the who, then she would learn what it costs to shatter a person who finally stops caring about getting hurt. Thursday morning. I parked my car in a multi-story garage across from the Grove with a clear elevated view of the main entrance and the valet stand. I wore sunglasses and a cap. It felt cliché, like something from a bad movie, but the reality was a hollow, vibrating dread. I was about to visually confirm the end of my marriage. I was both the detective and the crime scene. The hotel was beautiful, all sandstone and gleaming glass, a monument to discreet luxury. Every time the doors swished open, my heart would clench. A businesswoman with a roller bag, an older couple holding hands, a group of laughing friends. Each time, a shot of adrenaline, followed by a sickening drop. The wait was its own torture. I had hours. Checkout was at 11. I sat there, watching people live their normal lives, while mine was in suspended animation, held together by a single fraying thread of hope that maybe, just maybe, I was wrong. But I wasn't wrong. At 10:47 a.m., the thread snapped. The doors opened, and Elise walked out. She looked radiant, relaxed. She was wearing the emerald green dress I'd bought her for her birthday, the one she said she was saving for a special occasion. She was smiling, not the tired smile from the photo, but a bright, genuine one, turning back to hold the door open for someone. And then he stepped out. Time didn't slow down. It shattered. It was Mark. My brother. My younger brother by 3 years. The one I'd taught to ride a bike. The one who stood as my best man. He was carrying her weekend bag, slinging it over his shoulder with a familiar ease. He said something, and she laughed, swatting his arm playfully. The touch lingered. It was a gesture of easy, intimate familiarity. It was a gesture I realised, with a nausea that rose in my throat, I hadn't shared with my own wife in months. The world outside the car went silent. All I could hear was the white noise roar of my own blood. Mark. The faceless shape in my imagination now had my smile, my father's eyes. This wasn't just a betrayal. This was a desecration. It wasn't just an affair. It was a systemic, familial annihilation. They hadn't just stolen trust. They'd poisoned every shared memory, every family holiday, every inside joke. They had taken the people who were supposed to be my sanctuary and turned them into collaborators. I watched, numb, as the valet brought Mark's car around. The Audi I'd helped him pick out. He opened the passenger door for my wife with a gentlemanly flourish. She slid in. He rounded the hood, gave a confident, easy wave to the valet, and got in. They drove off together, disappearing into the downtown traffic, likely heading to his place or to continue their special occasion. I didn't follow them. There was no point. The mystery was solved in the most devastating way possible. I sat in the parked car for a long time, the cold, clinical hunter from the morning completely gone. In its place was a raw, howling void. But then, something began to coalesce in that void. It wasn't heat. It was the opposite. A deep, permeating cold. A glacial clarity. This changed everything. This wasn't a fight with a stranger. This was a war on two fronts. A war inside my own family. They had thought they were clever. They had the perfect cover. Brotherly concern, easy access, family gatherings where they could trade secret glances under my nose. They thought this was their secret to keep. They were wrong. It was now my weapon, and I knew exactly where to aim it first. Not at Elise, and not directly at Mark. I would go straight to the foundation of their little secret world and pour ice water on it. I started the car. The engine purred to life. I wasn't driving home. I was driving to my lawyer's office. But before that, I had one stop to make. I needed to pull a file I'd forgotten about. A file of family photos. I needed the perfect one. A picture of the three of us smiling. It would make the evidence I was about to send so much more powerful. The cold clarity was my armor. I didn't go home to smash things or cry. I went to a print shop and compiled the evidence with the detached efficiency of a prosecutor. The photo with the robes circled, the hotel webpage, the Le Jardin charge, and the crown jewel, 3 high-resolution photos from my stakeout. Elise and Mark smiling by the hotel doors, him opening her car door, their license plate. Indisputable. My first stop wasn't a confrontation. It was a fortress. My lawyer's office. I laid the photos on her desk. She looked at them, then at me. This gives us tremendous leverage. What is your immediate goal? My goal, I said, my voice steady, is for the fallout to hit them simultaneously, from different directions. No chance to coordinate a story. She advised silence. I agreed. I would be silent. But my evidence wouldn't be. I had one more piece to deliver. Mark's wife, Clara. Sharp. Principled. Fiercely intolerant of dishonesty. I created a new, anonymous email. Subject: evidence of Mark's betrayal. I attached the photos. The body was 3 lines, cold and factual. These were taken yesterday morning at the Grove Hotel. The woman is my wife, Elise. The man is your husband, Mark. I am handling my end. You have every right to handle yours. I hit send. The grenade was now live in their camp. Clara wouldn't cry. She would mobilize. She would become an avalanche, and Mark would be buried at the starting line. Now, to control the detonation on my front. I waited until Friday evening. Right on schedule, Elise texted. Home in an hour. Can't wait to see you. I didn't reply. I placed a single printed photo, the clearest one of them, by the hotel doors, face down on the kitchen island. Then I waited. I heard her key in the lock, the cheerful, "Honey, I'm home." She came in smiling, reaching for a hug. I didn't move. "What's wrong?" she asked, the mask of concern sliding into place. "Chicago was good?" I asked, my voice flat. "Yes, just exhausting." "Turn it over," I said, nodding to the paper. She flipped the photo. The colour drained from her face. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. "It's not what you think," she finally whispered. "Really?" I said, calm. "I think it's exactly what I think. I've already filed for divorce. Thomas, please. It was a mistake. He was just there for me." I cut her off. "Save it." And then, as if on a perfect karmic cue, her phone buzzed violently on the counter. Then again. And again. A flood of notifications. She looked at it, her eyes wide with a new, deeper terror. It was Clara. Calling. Texting. The synchronized collapse had begun. I watched her realize the walls weren't just closing in from one side, they were collapsing from every direction. I picked up my keys. "I'll be at a hotel. My lawyer will be in touch." I walked out, leaving her standing there, clutching the photo, her phone alight with the furious truth from the other woman whose life she'd helped destroy. The revenge wasn't in my words. It was in the structure. The trap they'd built had just sprung on its architects. What follows the explosion isn't silence. It's paperwork. It's the cold, clean mechanics of dissolution. I stayed at a hotel for a week, while Sylvia, my lawyer, moved with surgical speed. The evidence was so overwhelming, so morally repulsive, that Elise's lawyer had nothing to negotiate with. Adultery clauses, especially with a family member, ripped up the standard playbook. She didn't fight for the house. She didn't fight for much of anything. The shame, I learned later, was a weight even she couldn't shoulder. The divorce was finalized with a stunning swiftness, a quiet procedural end to an 8-year lie. But my victory wasn't in the decree. It was in the parallel collapse happening next door. Clara was, as predicted, a force of nature. She didn't just leave Mark. She dismantled him. She froze their joint accounts, pulled her family's investment from his business, and filed her own divorce, citing extreme duplicity and irreconcilable betrayal. I heard through the withered grapevine of mutual friends that Mark was not only facing financial ruin, but was essentially homeless, crashing on a friend's couch. The golden boy had been exposed as fool's gold. Elise and Mark did try to make it work in the scorched earth aftermath. I suppose when your entire world has rejected you, you cling to the only person who understands the ruin. But a relationship born in a luxury hotel, built on secrets and the betrayal of everyone who loved you, has a weak foundation. It crumbled under the weight of its own shame and isolation within months. There were no happy endings in that storyline, just a slow fade into bitterness. For me, the revenge wasn't in their suffering. It was in my peace. I sold the house. Too many ghosts in the walls. I moved to a smaller place near the water. The silence there wasn't heavy. It was clean. A year passed. I focused on work, on rebuilding a life where my decisions were my own, where my trust wasn't a weapon to be used against me. Then, one autumn afternoon, I was raking leaves in my new driveway. A car slowed, then pulled over. It was Clara. She got out, looking different, softer, but with a steady calm in her eyes. We hadn't spoken since the anonymous email. "Thomas," she said. "Clara, how are you?" "Free," she replied, and a small, genuine smile touched her lips. "I wanted to thank you. For the truth. However it came." "No thanks needed," I said. "You did all the hard work." "We both did," she said. She looked at the house, at the simple, quiet life I'd built. "It gets better, doesn't it? On the other side of all that anger." "It does," I said. "It really does." We talked for a few more minutes, not about them, but about fresh starts. Then she left. That conversation was the final piece. It wasn't a reconciliation. It was an acknowledgement. Two survivors from the same wreckage confirming the shore was solid. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't dramatic. It's not screaming or scheming. It's the quiet that comes after the storm. It's building a life so solid, so genuinely content, that the person who tried to destroy you becomes irrelevant. They become a footnote in your story, not the defining chapter. Elise and Mark chose a hotel room, a secret, a lie. I chose the truth. And in the end, the truth didn't just set me free. It built the foundation for everything that came after. So what's the moral? Maybe it's this. When someone shows you who they are, in the reflection of a photo or in the echo of a lie, believe them. Then, quietly, precisely, remove them from your narrative. Your peace is the most powerful ending of all. If you found this story of betrayal and calculated justice compelling, make sure to subscribe for more. That tiny click helps more than you know. Let me know in the comments. Was the revenge justified, or was letting the truth do the work the real victory? I'll be reading. Thanks for your time.